Okay, good morning. Let's continue where we left off yesterday. I think we were discussing about the reservation issue in Nagaland, which is a hot topic today. So we have run down the notifications issued by the Home Department, by the PNR Department for reservation of jobs. And the protest started this year in the month of May. 5 tribes, that is Angami, Ao, Rengma, Sumi, and Lota. So these are the 5 tribes that doesn't have reservation. So they were protesting against the reservation, asking the government to make some changes in the reservation system. Now, this is a picture from the protest that was held in Kohima on 29th May against 48 years of indefinite reservation policy. Public protest in Mukokchung, same date. This is in Woka, organized by Lota Ho at Woka District Headquarters. This, I believe, is in Semenyu. Yes, so these are the pictures. Now, what was the response of the government? The response of the government was the government constituted a 7-member job reservation commission. That was what the government did. So in the 7-member job reservation commission, it was to be headed by a senior government officer, and the government will also be represented by the administrative head of PNR department, justice in law, as well as the home commissioner. So in the 7-member commission, 7-member job reservation commission, number one, that is the chairperson, will be a senior officer from the government. The second member was the administrative head of PNR department. So administrative head of PNR department is your commissioner secretary PNER. And then the what is this? Justice in law. Justice in law, maybe it is headed by secretary justice in law. Number 4 is the home commissioner. 5, 6, 7 one member from ENPO, and one member from CNTC, and one member from Tinyime Union Nagaland. So this was the commission that was planned by the government to study the reservation issue in Nagaland. But again, the 5 tribes rejects this commission, and officially they have a committee which is called the Committee on Review of Reservation Policy, which is known as CORRP, Committee on Review of Reservation Policy. And then the government decides, okay, what is our next step? The government said that, okay, we will review the reservation policy only after the conduct of census. Only after the conduct of census. Census conduct kura bijidehe next year. Census conduct kurliase. Next year census conduct kura bijidehe mogan itu reservation policy to ikpar sai sabo. That is what the government decided. Government here means the cabinet. Again, this angered the 5 tribes, and so the 5 tribes said, okay, if that is the case, then we will first of all they oppose the composition of the reservation commission. Second, he decided to abstain from government functions. This was issued in second week of August, so they boycotted all the Independence Day functions, and from second week of August onwards, they have not participated in any government functions till now. Even yesterday, day before yesterday, or when the governor of Nagaland was given additional charge, and there was a ceremony at Raj Bhavan for the swearing in of his governorship. Even this program was boycotted by the 5 tribes. Oh, this is where we stand now. We all have different views, different opinions on this. So there are lots of newspaper articles. I saw one newspaper article. I forget the name of the person who wrote the article, but I was going through the article and some arguments that he was presenting were good, some were weak. So let's just quickly run down. This is what the public thinks. Okay, so my only aim in showing you the some of the arguments that he has put forward in the newspaper is to show how we can also, as a scholar, as a student, how will you also respond to the public view. Okay, so the first point that this person mentions is that Ido Nagalindi reservation Dagabra, we have a lot of backlog reserve posts. Yes, that is also true, especially in technical section. Technical section, the assistant professor and physics. No be assistant professor in mathematics. No be SDU. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. SDU and electrical or computer electronics something. There are some posts which are of technical nature, which is that is why NPSA conducts your NPSA, CTSA, Common Technical Service examinations. So because the reserve tribe doesn't have the required qualification, itu bro, these posts are remaining vacant year after year. Okay, so itu time de government de iniga post to ase holibi manu na taka bra fill kor na pare holibi itu alag tribe kan do asido itu manu do they have the required qualifications. So itu the adjustment ekta korili bahal. That was his suggestion, which is like makes kind of sense. Okay, so and the second point that he was raising was double benefits for backward tribes. Okay, so yes, this is also something that is unavoidable because the reservation 25 plus 12, 37%, 37% reservation, but in the remaining 63% also the reserve tribes can compete, right? So they have double benefit. That is what the public are also saying. So this also kind of makes sense. And over the years, if you look at the merit list, in the merit list, the unreserved category, the bishi tage the reserve tribe, which shows that Taganbe they are at par with other tribes. That is one of the arguments that are put forward. Even in your NCS exams, top one, top one even in my batch, the top one belong was from a reserve category in a sense like top one do overall topper do from reserve tribe praise. Even my senior, mula senior B, yeah, even my senior, their top one was from the reserve category only. So itubra manukan pabi dagi aya topper B reserve praise ola aze reserve tribes kan prahe. So people saying, oh, itia do reservation do na lagi do. That is what because yes, UPSC to be saishuguli do to progrando STSC to kitabi no line na general gani olay. So that is what the comparison is made. Okay, so that is one point. See, I'm so just giving my personal opinion on this. Okay, so um, you also will have your personal opinion. I'll also have my personal opinion, but just use all this which you think is best. If we have since we are discussing from examination point of view. Okay, so defective reservation policies. Yes, this is certainly 100% true. Ito do I also agree 100% that ito reservation policy is defective in a sense it benefits the policy benefits economically and socially advanced sections. Yes. So ito because I have been in almost all the eastern areas in my posting. So I know how difficult life is. I know how difficult life is in certain areas of Mon district, in certain areas of Noklak district, Shamatur, Tuensang, right? But we know that there is no creamy layer lagado na dumagan. So most of the students, most of the people experience passing exams from the reserve category. They are mostly from well-to-do families. Let us put it that way, in a sense. So we also feel sorry for the students who are struggling in the village, studying in government school, government colleges, right? Never exposed to universities in Delhi, universities in Hyderabad, or universities in Shillong. The further that they can go is Nagaland University, right? So reservation is actually in principle supposed to uplift them, but because the reservation policy has not been reviewed for the past more than 40 plus years, that is why it is also true that the benefits have been reaped by those people who are uh, economically favored. For example, if a person he is from he is he is from the reserve tribe and he struggled in the village, he studied in uh, GPS, GMS, and never got an opportunity to go out of. But this was during the 1980s or 1970s, right? And he got a job, an officer or get class one or two job, and he now lives in Kohima, Dimapur, right? And then his sons in Toters are now no longer from the village. They are now born and brought up from Kohima in Dimapur, right? Or from the towns, not from the village. So we will also see that it is their offsprings also have the same criteria for job benefits, right? So this is also one issue that the Five Tribes Committee is also pointing forward. Discrepancy in age, entry age. This is something that is unavoidable. I don't want to agree with this because it's not that even for the five tribes, you can also enter government service at 22, 23. No one is stopping you, right? No one is stopping you from entering the service, right? But it so happens that practically speaking, this is practically speaking, this might happen, but this is like I don't know, just trying to gather more points. But when you see this happening practically, then maybe it kind of makes sense. But it doesn't mean that the five tribes, the fight forward tribes, cannot enter government service below the age. It is age. Okay, right. So some more, yes, economic imbalance and discrimination for. So I don't have anything to say on this. Means but the reservation for 25 for Eastern Naga tribes, 12 for Chagasang Puchuri, Sumis of Kifuri, I think he has missed one tribe, Ziliang. It is based on, I believe, the present condition during which the reservation was given and also because of population. So I think itu time to ticket again. Lack of periodic review, yes, periodic review. It's been more than 40 years. The policy meant to be reviewed every 10 years has been extended, right? So without proper assessment. Exceeding the Supreme Court's 50% limit. I think this is a wrong information that this person is giving. Supreme Court has said yes, reservation cannot exceed 50%, but in our case, reservation is only till 41%, if I'm not mistaken, 37 plus 4. Yeah, 41. So it is not exceeded the 50% limit. If I am wrong, please correct me. Right. So this reserve backlog post after a fixed period. Okay, he's just suggesting some methods, some suggestions. Eliminate double benefits for backward candidates. This is also something that cannot be avoided. Um, exclude the creamy layer from reservation. Okay, that makes sense. Standardized entry age and qualifications. Okay, so these also kind of makes sense, right? So these are some issues that I found in the newspaper. I'm just sharing it for our discussion. But now let's go back to this, and I will give my view. I will give my view on this. Okay. So just give me like yes. So this is the reservation. Now my view on this is first, even for the five forward tribes, even for the 5 tribes, there are two kinds of reservation. One is 100%, 100% of all, and one is 80% of all, right? So when we are claiming during our debates, during our interactions with in this issue, see, we have to be very careful with this. That they have the other tribes, this 6, 7, because here TK will also come, no? But now TK issue is a different one, which is in court, or I don't know what is the latest update, 7, 8, 9, 10. And here, yeah, so the other tribes, they have 37% reservation. So for grade 3 non-technical and grade 4, yes, that means they have 37% reservation. The remaining 60, what is this, 63 is for open for all, unreserved, right? So this is the first case. But in case of class 2 and class 1, 37% is not from 100, 37% is from 80% only. Okay, so if there are 20 ASC posts, that doesn't mean that they have reservation for 20 ASCs. No, they will have only for 5, because 1 to 15 will be unreserved, because this 37% is 37% of 80, not 100%. So only 5 will be for reserve category. Okay, so that is what we have to also understand, right? For class 1 and class 2, they are not taking 37%. Calculate course 37% of, let's see whether our 37% of 80, right? 37% of 80. Kiman hobo? It will be something around only 20%, right? For class 1 and class 2, since it is reservation is only for 37% of 80%, so the total reservation will come only till 20%. Yeah, that is one thing that I also wanted you to know, because it also instead of just expressing our views without full education or full knowledge. The second thing is, ito grade 3 or grade 4 lagado. I'll just be very honest here. This is my view. Even though 37% was there for them, pector appointment dito reservation to follow kurana, right? So from 1960s, or not 60s, 1990s, 2004, more than 40 years, there was pector appointment, especially for grade 3 and grade 4, correct? Now, grade 3 or grade 4 laga pector appointment dagadam dita kan kita 37% yan ay. Who was in power ito kani loishe, right? Even for all the tribes, whose clan, whose village, minister to kun pada gise, director kun pada gise, kun power di dagisi takan bay loishe do kamdo, right? So that is also one issue, right? Not supporting the 11 tribes, 10, 11 tribes, but I'm just pointing out the facts, okay? So it is only after NSSP came that takan be 37% to Payaze. Because NSSP is grade 3, right? But before NSSP, Pector do 37% to takanay. Okay, so yes, if you have any objection to what I'm saying, please let me know. The second thing that I want you to know is, iniga huside for many years. Nah, suppose I am from, just let's say I am from one tribe, okay? One of the reserved tribes. I am from the Kongyak tribe, for example. So I appeared in PSA. First attempt, I got SA from reservation. Next year, I got, let's say I got some post, that is RTO or TTO post, right? Or TPRO post. So what do I do now? Mui do SC do mui laga reservation kunyak manu laga reservation para pailo siya. But then I got TTO post. Then I'm now no longer serving as SA. Then I got this reservation. So for the tribe as a whole, ito post to haray jay siya do. Mui do chari di siya do na. So this post is not re-advertised as for the Kongyaks. This will now go to the Itu takan laka chart ti jabo do itiado mo kan. Now again next year I appear NPSC, I become TSP. Okay. To idiram diro mo idula post to chari dibo na. One person is taking reservation 3-4 times. You're getting what I'm saying? So if there are 4 posts for my tribe, right? But I'm the person who is getting all this, but I'm not serving in all the 4 posts. Muito ektahi lobo the last dito. To tayo pura chare dia kando pura arui loss ho jay do. Are you getting what I'm saying? No? And this has been happening for many years. Right? So it to be issue ekta ase. Take pura sa issue ko So even for the tribes na, they should have a policy that reservation do ek par hi lobo lage. Na apuni rai sob lobo na ge tribe manu laga. Na alak manu gibi TV na. Every year apuni olay aje apuni ek par koribo chari dibo ek par koribo chari dibo tribe laga number apuni charter reservation bi apuni loise. Right? So every tribe should have some policy. Apuni na ek par hi lobo lage. You take that reservation when you want to take, whether it's in your first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt, we don't care. You take only once. Iniya grow lage. No do it is indirectly abuni kan loss kore do, right? And these tribes are these posts are going back to the chart, right? So itula issue pe ekta. So but having said that, reservation laga do mo kan ek part review ko lage. I have 2 suggestions. The first suggestion is creamy layer do takibo lage, right? This reservation should include only non-creamy layer. So there should be a policy, government bra, that maybe abuningan be a scholarship tibuli time the affidavit da bunay no inika nishina families can whose income. If the government says idu government officer la pachakano nolo boina oli do private kan di ajigali korpati kan bi bisya je tangan la pachado kinika politician kan do political workers kan do takan do government servant no heli bi takan logo bi paisa aje, they are also well off, right? So income limit ikta dibo lage, maybe 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs. Itu laga upper de abuna family income ase ko shikule do you will not get reservation. Iniga itu strictly creamy layer laga do introduce ko lage o. Itu koribo lage, right? That is one thing that the government should really emphasize upon. Iniga hoshugule do itia asol kon manu reservation deserve kore takan logot reservation do pai jabo. Second is itu na 25%, 12% do olop namabo lage o. Olop namabo lage. Nama naiguli do it means that reservation has failed. Right? So maybe it lost by 1%. 1% holi bi namaili olop kiba do ahi jabo, right? For example, yeti 25 taka do 20% banai dibe. Just my observation. Chaka sangkan 4 taka do yeti 2 guribi, yeti bi 2 guribi, yeti bi 2 guribi, yeti bi 2 guribi. No? No, it'll be depending on maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, or 88% Korina. You look all look reduce Korbio. That is what we also feel, right? And if there are some tribes who wants to say that okay, we don't need reservation, itado mukan reservation 40 years pura, mukan itado 4 tribe ho jase. We don't need reservation really well and good. We don't want to call ourselves backward anymore. If some tribes can proclaim like that, also well and good, na. Itu bra, itu kan be kiba go lage. There is an issue here. Third issue is tikir lakado kinya grow. Because tikir do tribe tissue, believe takan giru reservation diana doro. Right? If I'm not mistaken, yes, I have not seen reservation for tikir. Tikir laga reservation do im chungur logo thi chayaze. Itiabi, I feel im chungur laga reservation date ekta category nishinai takan be chayaze nagi. That is why some issue is there in the court, or yes, something like that. So if the government is saying tikir is a separate tribe, then why giving the imjongur quota to them, or why they are sharing the imjongur quota to ala kobo lagi do itiado. But tikir tribe was recognized some many years back. Itiadak iku nugre. It to be a failure as a government laga side probably. That is also what I honestly feel. Are tribe tishe to tribe laga rights can be tivo lagi, right? Okay, so this are it Kwanishna, if we just keep on talking about this, it will take the whole day. But this is for your exam purpose, so you can write all these points, and also abunya last side probably tagi sigulito abuni kan likidibi. So let's stop talking about the reservation. Somebody was asking about landowner lagana. So I'll quickly explain in 5 minutes. Landowner, grade 4 post landowner logot kiniga jaigona. So whenever a vacancy is there, number one, it happens like this. In any department, you will have lots of employees which are called fixed or casual or ad hoc or contingency. All this, they are getting 5,000 rupees per month, 5,000 to 6,000 per month. Okay. And they've been working for the past 10 years, 11 years, 15 years. Some are working for 20 years. Some are working for 25 years, hoping that the one day they will be regularized. Right. So the policy is for the grade 4, whenever a vacancy arises. No, it's nothing like that. Itu keep out the follow corridor. It doesn't. They don't count how many employees are there. Ekta chart as a. This is the chart that I've shown you. Okay, let me come back to that after I explain my for landowner lagado. So these people who are working in fixed, casual, ad hoc contingency, they are also waiting for the day they will be regularized after working for 15, 20 years. So whenever a vacancy arises, suppose there are 10 vacancies. Okay, there are 10 vacancies, 10 to be sure, but for our example, let's use 10 vacancies. If there are 10 vacancies for MTS, out of these 10 vacancies, 50% will go to 50% will go to this regularization. So those who are working for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, they'll be regularized as per their seniority list. That means tosta dagado pangstado yedi jai. The remaining 50%, okay, out of the remaining 50%, that is the 5 posts, 50% will go to your landowner, 50% will be for your fresh appointment. This is the policy. Okay, so it was it. That is the policy that is followed. Now in this case, 5 tagishe, do 5 will do they will make some adjustment. Yeti tuita dibu, yeti tinda dibu ni kata wala. But normally to start vacancy do kita ben wala wo. Ekta office tido usually charta, tuita, tinda. Ito time the adjustment ekta kori. But the government has said that landowner though, if your father is given a job, yeah, if your father is working as MTS in landowner category, you cannot inherit that. That is what the government has said. Okay, that is what the government has said. So family day ek pare lobo pare. Okay. So let's come back to the question that was raised here. With 3% reservation, no reservation for the physically handicapped. Okay, so reservation goes like this. Vacancy, na? If there are vacancy will go on like this. If you want this PDF, I will send you. So where this is 100% is reserved for indigenous inhabitants, right? So reservation to kinakurbo. Ito LDL post, for example. So first post to reserved for all indigenous, all Naga indigenous or non-Naga, including the Kuki, Tikir, Kachari, all this. All this will be for the indigenous inhabitants. Remember again, it is not Naga indigenous. All indigenous inhabitants means mukan discuss Krishna. There are 5 STs. Ito kan sop to ito, right? Second wala will be from the Konyak tribe. Third and fourth will be again for all indigenous. Fifth will be Kodo, Pom. Sixth will be unreserved, Sanctum. Iniga itu charti follow eh. So my point is, abuni Konyak you got SA, right? And then next category the abuni Konyak kandu ekta paise. But then Indu laga chart follow garandi nichi dibi abuni ekta post ekta paise ulit abuni do chari dibo na. So no matter how much jobs you forgo, how many positions you forgo, we are not counting, right? Because in the government cannot have a policy on this. It is for the tribe to decide. So I'm saying that each tribe should come with each backward tribe should come with a policy saying that you can avail backward quota only once. ইটোতো খুব লাগে নহ'লেতো একটা মানুহে চব লৈ থাকিব একটা ফেমিলিৰ পৰা চাৰিটা পাঁচটা ওলাই থাকিব আৰু তোক পাকানটো গোটেই তোক পাই থাকিব অ'কে ৰাইট yes so this is about reservation iman hi kota karo ne half an hour we spend half an hour so everyone will have different opinions so let's stop our discussion here. Right, now let's go. Which topic is next? Yes, let's discuss a little bit about the village development boards. Again, questions ahibo, exam day ahidage. So, village development board. So, the village council, tell me, the village council has been empowered to form village development boards on what section? Kilaga section, kilaga clause of the village council Village and Tribal Council Act 1978, which section, which clause empowers the village council to form VDBs? Tell me. Yes, section, it's very easy to remember. Section 12, clause 12. Village councils have been empowered to form the VDBs. So what is VDB or what are VDBs? These are, we can say that this is the grassroots means the village level, no? The lowest level institutional body for rural development in the state of Nagaland. So as we've discussed, under clause 12, section 12 of the act, village councils in Nagaland have been empowered to constitute the VDB. So village councils governed by Village Council Act 1978. VDBs are also governed by one rules, which is called VDB Module Rules 1980. Okay, so all the VDBs in Nagaland are governed by one act. It is not called as an act, but it is called as a rule, which is called VDB Model Rules 1980, which have also been amended from time to time. So the VDBs are governed by this. So if you look at the history, the first VDB was set up in the year 1976, and I'm sure this spelling is wrong. If this spelling is, if I'm sure that this is right, I've never visited the village, so if there's a spelling mistake, please let me know. But the first VDB was set up in Kitsabomi village. The first VDB was set up in Kitsabomi. Kitsabomi. I'm sure, I don't know what is the pronunciation, but the first VDB was established in Kitsabomi village in the year 1976 in Fek district. Right. And it was done on an experimental basis after the success of the first VDB in Kitsabomi village. A mass campaign was launched in 1980 to expand VDBs throughout the state. So who are the persons responsible for the formation of VDB? The first VDB. So it was actually there are two persons, A.M. Kokali, right? Who was the deputy commissioner, IAS officer, deputy commissioner of PEC at that time, and Wamuzu. Wamuzu was a minister in the government. These two personalities, these two leaders are regarded as the brainchild behind the formation of VDBs in Nagaland, right? So, who are the members of village development boards? The answer is all the permanent residents of the village. All permanent residents of a village are members of village development boards and form its general body. So, according to Section 4A of the VDB Models Rules 1980, all permanent residents of a village are members of the village development board. Okay, so we will not, okay, Kotsabo, right. So that is the correct. I was also thinking there must be some mistake with the spelling. So maybe it is undergone some change. You are suggesting it Kotsabo. But in all the books, this name is given. That is why I was also thinking what is the correct village. All right, now we are not going into, so we are not going to dive into all the rules, all the acts. So let's just learn the surface level and you also read on your own, right? So because I am discussing from exam point of view now, composition of VDB management committee. In every village, there is a VDB management committee. So who are the members? The VDB management committee. It says that it should not have more than 25 members. not less than 15. So total members should not be less than 5, should not be more than 25. And village council members can also be members of the VDB management committee. And members are chosen by the village council. Members means VDB management committee members are chosen by the village council. At least 1/4 of the total members must be women. So 25% of the members must be women. This is like for the first time in Nagaland in a patriarchal society that reservation was there for VDBs. Still, we don't have reservation for women in the assembly. We don't have reservation for women in the village council, but we have enacted reservation in urban local bodies, which is good, which is a sign of progress. And even in VDBs, 25% are women. In most of the villages, they are members of the VDB. Huli tang la kam do meeting di jay na chapo na bo, piskit di bo ito as ko pisibak di na, pusti level di, right? So, but then in reality, 25% of the total members are women, are supposed to be women. So in paper, may kikan lang namdo ahidage because it come all the VDB members list, they come to the TC office. So we look at maybe hotay mula table di aram di magiasina na ikona sa idage magila namdo hotay tage holi bi pusti di daga time dito meeting matili do magiando na dage holi magiando choka di poi dage, right? So ito bi piano hai. That is what is empowerment to this. This is not real empowerment, right? Tenure is 5 years. And who is the chairman of the VDB management committee? The chairman is the deputy commissioner, or ADC is the ex officio chairman of the VDB, right? So any resolution passed by the management committee must be attended by not less than 51%. So for quorum, it is a majority, simple majority, right? 51% is simple majority. Any decision, if it is supported by a simple majority, 51%, so that is the quorum of the management committee of VDB. Okay, so this is the composition. Composition though, section 4 PD Dignaze. So very quickly revising the composition. Members must not be less than 5, must not be more than 25. Members are chosen by the village council. Village council members can also be members of the village management committee. 25% of the members should be women. Tenure is 5 years every VDB. And who is the chairman? The ex officio chairman is ADC or DC. And what is the quorum? The quorum is simple majority, that is 51% of the total number of members. Okay, so let's talk about the VDB secretary, right? According to section 7 of the VDB modules rules, the following conditions are laid down for selecting a VDB secretary, right? So the VDB secretary, number 1, must be selected from among the management committee members. You first form the VDB management committee, right? From this committee, 5 to 25 members, you select one person who is going to be the VDB secretary, right? Second, must be literate with minimum qualification of class 10 and above. So class 10 tak to puri na tagiwo lagi VDB secretary to, this is the condition. The third condition is the one which I find it to be very funny. Will be paid a monthly remuneration of ranging from rupees 1,000 to 3,000 as decided by the VDBs based on their funds and resources. So apparently, VDB secretary though rupees 1,000 to 3,000 monthly. Okay. So I think they are also working because they are getting rupees 1,000 to 3,000 monthly. Okay, but this is what the rule says, that the VDB secretary should be paid or remuneration to ini 1,000 to 3,000 per month to tayo gitibo lagi de VDB laga fund bro na tayo ini paperwork kora laga tam. Okay, so the VDB secretary cannot be a village council chairman, head GBB nukuro lagi, or village administrative head. So the VDB secretary cannot be the head of the village, whether it's the GB or the village council or the village administrative head. Okay. So this is about the VDB secretary. Now let's go and learn about some of the schemes. Now, the schemes that are implemented by the VDB are mostly linked with RD department, right? Because RD department is rural development department, and but in this part I will not be discussing But in this part, I will not be discussing about the schemes implemented by RT department because I will discuss it only during when I discuss about RT department. So Manrika, Nishina, Pradhan Mantri, Awas Yojana, Gramin, all these things we are not going to discuss. We are discussing only about VDBs and some of the direct schemes that they have under the state government. Okay, so for the VDBs minus the RT department laga scheme. RT department laga scheme pichi tagibo implemented by the village council by the VDB, but we're not discussing that. We're discussing only the schemes of the VDBs without the RT department. The first is called CRAN in 8. Please be careful. Uh, Try to remember, study all these facts because often these questions are asked in the exam. So what is CRAN in 8? CRAN in 8 to VDBs. Kwanishna, all these schemes, these are not from RT department. Please understand. These are purely from VDB. Okay? VDB tagishiguli to itu to tagibo lagi. Kali RT department na tagilibi itu kan to tagibo VDB logot. Okay? Right. So CRAN in 8. So what is CRAN in 8? State government sponsors a program which is called CRAN in 8. So the first is, just one clarification again. When I say about the schemes, I mean the central schemes. The central schemes kan lagado. We are not discussing about Manrega or PMAY, but all this grant and aid, other matching cash grant, all this are through the state. Okay, and it will come from the RD department. Okay, so what is grant in aid? Grant in aid is allotted each year to VDBs on the basis of tax-paying households, rupees 1,000 per household. So every household, if there are 400 household, 400 into 1,000, right? In the village. So you need 100,000, 2,000, like 4 lakhs. If there are 400 household in your village, tax-paying households, in the official records, it will be 700. That is the reality of Nagaland. Okay, so it will now be 7 lakhs because asul dito alak, paper dito alak. We know all this. I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. This is what happens, right? So this grant in aid is allotted each year to the VDBs on the basis of tax-paying households, rupees 1,000 per household, and 25% of the fund under grant in aid is allocated for so these are things that cannot be discussed in public. Okay, good question. I want to answer, but I cannot answer everything in public forum like this, right? So you also know the answer, but don't ask me questions like this. I'm not from the department, right? You know the answer. Why they are asking back the money? Okay, but right. So, and if you genuinely don't know, then tell me that you are so confused. If you really want to know the answer, that is one case. But when you know the answer, why you're asking questions like this, right? But if you're genuinely innocent, mo ito shock kaya today, over shock te. Kili pusa katia siyo. If that is the condition, we will explain. I mean, some of your friends can also explain. Okay, so let's continue. So grant in aid, 1,000 per household. From that amount, whether it is 5 lakhs, 10 lakhs, 7 lakhs, 25% of the fund is allocated for, these are often asked in exam, participation of women folk. Maiki laga activities. Maiki laga activities, women folk, participation of women folk in the development activities. 25% is reserved for the women. 20% of the fund is earmarked for youth activities. Okay, grant in aid, 1,000. Just important thing is grant in aid, rupees 1,000 per household. Out of that, 25% is reserved for women, 20% is reserved for youth, and this might be updated. But as per the RT department website, there are 1,285 VDBs in the state with 250,315 tax-paying households. This figure is a little outdated. We don't have the Nobody knows the exact figure because RT department website they have not updated for the past many years, no, and they are not even uploading the annual administrative report. So we really don't know the official figure now. But this is what is there in the website. Okay, so this is about Crime in Aid. Next is called VDB Welfare Fund. VDB Welfare Fund. So VDB Welfare Fund is also a mandatory scheme. So what the government does is, in the VDB account, rupees 10,000 is deposited for villages. If a village is having only population of less 50 or less, population means household. If in the village there are only 50 or less household, the government will deposit 10,000 rupees. 10,000 rupees in the account. But if the village is having more than 50 percent, having 51 households and above, then the government will deposit rupees 200 per household. So this is the only difference. The deposits are made annually for a period of 6 years, and at the maturity, the interest accrued will be utilized for the scheme. The seed money is reinvested, creating a continuous cycle of resources to supplement the grants provided by the state. So, welfare fund, with the welfare fund, government will deposit rupees 1,000, 10,000 or rupees 50 per household. After the end of 6 years, the interest will be utilized for developmental activities. The remaining seed money will be reinvested again. Okay. Next, matching cash grant scheme. So this matching cash grant scheme, it was introduced during the later part of the fifth plan, 5-year plan lagado, to encourage VDBs to raise their own village resources through household contributions, donations, and community participation. So this fund, no, is deposited in, again, VDB fixed deposit account for 5 years and renewed on maturity. Matching cash grant scheme matlab, villagers will also deposit certain amount of money. That same amount of money government will also give. That is the meaning of matching cash grant scheme. The state government provides an equivalent amount as the matching grant with a ceiling of 2.5 lakhs, right? So initially the government said if your villagers can contribute rupees 57 to 75,000, we will also contribute 75,000 total. 1,50,000 will keep in fixed deposit. Now government itiado increase kodigna the higher limit. Abunyan pusti manukan 2.5 lakhs. Chama do government member 2.5 lakhs tibo. Total 5 lakhs will be deposited in the VDB fixed account, right? So whenever the village wants to take loan from the bank, this amount, because this 5 lakhs or whatever amount is kept in the VDB fixed deposit account, it can be used as a guarantor, right? It can be used as a security for bank loans and can be used for administrative maintenance of the VDBs. Okay, so this is all about VDBs in a nutshell. Let's quickly run down some questions. What does the Nagaland Village and Tribal Council like 1978 say on VDBs? So they can underclose this in this. Every village has been empowered to consider VDBs. When was the VDB model rules enacted and what was the first when was the first VDB established? VDB models rules were enacted on 1980. First VDB stood at Kutsabumi Village, Pek District, 1976. After 1980, a campaign was launched to expand VDBs throughout the state. Who are the members of the VDB? All the permanent residents of the village are members of the VDB. What is the composition of the VDB management committee? We have discussed this in great detail. What are the conditions laid down to be selected as VDB secretary of the village? Again, we have discussed this. What is the quorum required for passing resolutions in the management committee? 51%. What are the features of grant in aid provided to VDBs? 1,000 for every tax-paying household, 25% earmarked for women, 20% for youth, 2 pashes. Okay, so now let's learn about Tubashis and Kaumburas. So, Tubashis. Before I start, tell me, what do you know about Tubashis? Anything that you know about Tubashis? Tell me in the chat box. Interpreter. Okay, makes sense. They are the guardians of the customary laws. Okay, need to be correct. Any more? Attached with the TC. Partially correct. Middleman. Okay. Okay, then let me put it in another way. What is the literal meaning? What is the literal meaning of Tubashi? What is the literal meaning of Tubashi? Two language, that is correct. So Tubashi, Tubasha, it is from that Assamese to Basha, right? Tu Basha means language, Basha means language, Tu means two. A person who knows two language is Tu Basha, which is now called as Dubashis. Initially, they were called Dubasha or Dubasha because they had to interpret. That means they had to know Assamese or English, and then they had to know their native language, right? Angami, Dinyiti, Lota, Ao, all this. So they acted as interpreters, right? So about Dubashi, the literal term is Tubashi or Tubasha, which means two language. It was started by the British, yes. And let's quickly run down some points here. The term Tobashia or Tobashi is derived from the Assamese Hindi word Tobasha, which means two language. That is what we've just discussed. Over time, it came to refer to people who had the ability to translate native languages in Assamese Hindi. Correct. So, like one of you responded, these individuals initially served as interpreters between the British officers and local tribal communities. That is also what we've discussed. Now, the fourth point, which is a little not confusing, but you might not know the meaning of this. You might have come across such sentences, words in various textbooks, but what is the meaning of this, right? Okay, so initially Dubashis were known as residentiary delegates when they were introduced by the British. The practice of receiving delegates from Naga villages started in the 1840s. So Iduki, what is the meaning of this line? Anyone wants to give a shot? Right. So the meaning of this is if we go to the Naga history, 1840s, 1840s. Now, by this time, the British were after 1826. The British were already in Assam, and we have the Naga Hills this side. Okay. Now there were frequent raids. We have learned about this. There were frequent quarrels, raids. I won't say wars, but disputes between the tribesmen and the plain people, right? And the Nagas were here. The British, remember, were there Naugong. Yes, the assistant to commissioner. So this is the official place, like the capital of the British. Naugong di dagishe dagan uduram de and Sipsagar di dagishe. The British, one of the British headquarters was here in Sipsagar. Now in 1940s, what the British started is in order to have good relation with the hills people, the British had a system of receiving delegates. Delegates means itiabi mugan youth conference ikta jai shuguli do abuni la church पर iman delegates patabi abun langa kiba पर iman delegates patabi inega koina inega nishina ido yati daga pusiri daga gan learned in a sense they can speak two languages and this or not necessary it became to Basha later on, but earlier they were known as residentiary delegates. So from this village, the Nagas were taken or were allowed to be here in Naugong. Pustiburana, Naugong de Ahebuli. So the British selected maybe one from every village to come as a residentiary delegates, Nishina. Okay? Which were introduced by the British. And through this person, the British will also know about the village. The British will also try to act as an intermediary between all these raids and all these quarrels and disputes. That is why in the 1940s, they started this process of residentiary delegates. That is why in some books, you will see that when was the Tubashi institution established. In some books, the dates are 1842, and some books 1869. Which one is correct? You see, both are correct. Both are correct because in 1840s, like I said, the British started the practice of receiving delegates from Naga village, which started in 1840s. So these were known as residentiary delegates. So, for example, point of view, initially Dubashis were known as residentiary delegates, and this residentiary delegates were Nagas who were invited to come from the Naga villages to the British administrative headquarters in Sipsagar, and they were invited to participate in the
Hello. Hello, sir. Hello, family members.
yes. There is some network issue from my side, but where did you stop hearing? When did you stop hearing from me?
Dobashi.
Yeah, Tubashi, but which part of the Tubashi?
Interpreter.
So partial residential delegate.
Okay, point four. So, did I tell you about Naugong in Sipsagar?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, that means
Yes, sir.
iman tiridu jana maybe 2-3 minutes inside tagishola. Okay, so like I was saying, there are two versions in a sense. Some books say that the Tobashi system was started in 1842. Some books will claim it is started in 1869. Which one is correct? My view is both are correct. Both are correct because 1840s time they British started the process of residentiary delegates. But remember, after 19, what happened during 1950? There was non-indifference policy. During the non-indifference policy, this was stopped because the British were not going to interfere, right? The British were not going to interfere, and hence this process of receiving delegates from the British from the Naga villages were stopped. It was only when later on, when Gregory became the deputy commissioner of the Naga Hills, that he started again. He started the process of again. So again, there is a different date. Gregory start kura lagat time bra kunuba kitab bra 1869 goi. Only puila British kan bra start kura kunuba kan ge 1860 1842 goi. Okay, so yes, here I have quoted this 1869 by John Gregory, but 1842 is also correct. Depends on what is how they ask the questions in the exam. So the system of Tobashi was first introduced in Naga Hills in 1869-70 by John Gregory, but this was after the non-indifference policy. Okay, before the non-indifference policy, also British were receiving delegates in the year 1940s. So the historians are quoting 1842, which is correct. So please keep these 2 points in mind. Right, so they were initially appointed to act as interpreters between British officers and local tribes. Initially, each Tobashi were paid rupees 10 per month. The system was made permanent in 1881 after proven effectiveness, and the role gradually expanded from mere interpreters Initially, they were interpreters. Like the British wanted to communicate with the villagers, they acted as the interpreters. But later on, they were proven to be effective and law in justice, law in maintenance of law and order in the area, in the subdivision, in the villages, in the hills. And so gradually, their roles expanded from being an interpreter to the dispensation of civil and criminal justice in the hills. In Kurigina, what is the present status of Tubashis today? Right? Tubashis are now government employees. Okay? They receive salary just like any other government employees. And they are also appointed through exam. They don't have written exam, they only have oral exam. Okay? So number one, they are salaried government employees. They wear a distinctive uniform. Their uniform is front day red or pitchy day black, right? Waistcoat. So the Dobashis have been empowered under Administrative of Justice and Police in Naga Hills District, 1937. This rule, they have been empowered. GBs, TBs, they have been empowered. So they are TB customary courts in ESC, SU Civil, and ADC offices. And where's the district customary court? The district customary court is in DC office. Remember, the district, as per this rule of justice in police in Naga Hills, district customary court is equivalent to a second class magistrate court. And they take cases which are customary in nature. So even see, there is a confusion today. You look at any town, Kohima, Pek, Zaniputu, Tuensang, Mukokchung, you look at any district. There are two courts. One is your district court, which is headed by your principal district session judge, right? Under him, you'll have, first class magistrates. You will have so many other judges and magistrates. And at the same time, you have the district customary court in the DC office. So whenever you want to file a case against someone, where will you file the case? Will you file a case here or here? Ini kana dual system ho jado mogan. Aro কোনোবা তো তুবাসী কোর্টে যাব, তুবাসী কোর্টে জাজমেন্ট যাদো কোশিনা বালে আরো district court যাব, district court কানবরা তুবাসী court কানবরা কোয়াদো সব quash court. So all these things happens very confusing, okay? But it is clear that they take cases which are customary in nature. Only cases that are customary in nature, like Manu Murai Dishe. Ito to customary no, ito to criminal case hoise, right? So customary in nature might involve land disputes mostly. Mati laga dispute tagilo ito to pusti de. Ito to land dispute ho jai na, ito to mati laga dispute, ito to customary ho jai. So most of the cases that are taken up by the Tobashi courts are customary cases, mostly land cases. Okay? And the aro pishibak aro Tobashi court money puisa, and I forgot again ito pitur mano laga court pi aje. Nagaland is a funny place, yeah. I mean, apart from your district court, from the district customary court, you have the underground court also. So cases are also held in the underground courts. So whatever the case is, we are not discussing about the illegal underground courts. We are discussing about the Dubashi court and the district court. Some cases, suppose money lending case. Abunibra, nee, I'll tell you something. Abuni sati ektabura abuni ki paisa tar korise. Paisa to abuni ki wabas ne de. Mangili bhi na de. Phone bhi switch off hoise etia to. He or she is not responding to your calls after taking 1 lakh from you, 2 lakh from you. Now you want to go to the court. Which court will you go? Will you go to the Dubashi court? Will you go to the district court? You tell me.
District
Yes.
court.
Learn people. Tell me, where will you go?
District court.
Tupashi Court.
Upashi.
Oh, Dubashi Court.
Just hey, you will go to Dubashi court. You will go to this court. Okay. Tell me in the yes, some are saying you will go to this court, you will go to that court. Okay. Wait, okay, I'll change my just give me 1 minute. Which court will you go?
District Court.
For money lending cases, which court are you going to go to, the district court or to the Dubashi court? You will go to the TP court. Anyone else who wants to go to the district court for money? If I'm not a registered money lender, none. Okay. TP court. Most of you are saying you will go to your TP court, right? Okay. Now, see, there have been instances in my experience working with the administration, there have been instances where for money lending purposes, yes, people have gone to the Dubashi court, the Dubashi court has given judgment, but the aggrieved party went to the district court and the district court said that money lending is not customary case. Ito bra, ito do Dubashi kan bra lubon na baribo. That is what the district court said. And ito yung usaw because pabi sa sugli do poisa tar grado ito customary no ito na. Dubashi court supposed to take cases which are customary in nature. To chor gura, manuke molest gura, only rape cases. These are not customary cases, right? These are civil or criminal cases. That is why Dubashi courts cannot take up just in it cases just like that. They have to take up only cases that are customary in nature, right? So this is what I wanted to explain. Now let's look at Gaumburas. Now tell me, Gaumburas are government agents or not? Number one, are they government agents or not? First question. Can you please confirm whether you can hear me or not? Because all of you have suddenly become so quiet and I don't want to be talking alone. Yes, they are government agents. Do they receive salary?
Yes, sir.
What is the salary that they receive?
Salary from workers.
From? With though
Do
you're
not
saying
receive salary.
yes, they don't receive salary. Okay, they are government agents, but they don't receive salary. Let us learn about them. Right. So who are gomburas? Gomburas are the village headmen in the village level appointed as government agents. That is number one. The second condition is how many gomburas should a village have? For 50 household. For 50 household, you should be one gombura. So in your village, 400 household, that means you will have 8 GBs. In all of the 8 GBs, one will be called head GB, right? Now, Gombura is not a salaried service but receives commissions. How do they receive commission? They receive 25% of commission on yearly house tax collection. Now, if you are living in your village, if you are living in town, any household in Nagaland, you submit household tax rupees 10 or 20. Every year, Gomburas will come and deduct rupees 10 or 20 from you, from your household. If in your village you have never seen your gombora coming and deducting rupees, asking rupees 10 from you, maybe they are doing adjustment from the village council itself, because many village council they just submit this money from the village council fund. They don't ask the 10 rupees because itu tos taka kali korna piraboli do takan karni time bishi jai na ito bra, even for the GBs. And most of the time, if they are in reality 100 household in the government do takan do 200 household also do they have to submit for 200. That is why lots of balancing is done, right? But Gombura is supposed to collect rupees 10 or 20 depending on the place from every household, which is known as the household tax. And out of this rupees 10 or 20, the total amount, if in the village the total amount collected is rupees 1 lakh, then they take 25,000 of the amount and they distribute it as commission, right? And they are given a red blanket by the government. They act as guardians of customary law and practices. They are ex-officio members of the village council. This is also what we have also learned. Now, no, it's 25%. Yeah, textbooks will have mistakes. Okay, it's 25%. I know this because we deal with this every year, no, in the TC office. So it is 25%, and we give the 25% to the GBs. Now, Gomburas, there is an issue. What is the literal meaning of Gombura? Textbook to mystic tagina. There's nothing in the world that is 100% perfect. So even in Pira's book, some dates, kuno ba, or some figures be mistake tag. As I've also read the book. There are some mistakes, but it happens, na? What is the literal meaning of Gombura? Gombura means village. Gao, village. Bora, elders. Or, yeah, village head. Yeah, village elders. Literal meaning though. So, village elders as though, why there are GBs in the town? Town Bora no do, Gao Bora do na. So, why there are GBs in the town? Tell me. GB, town DB, GB as no. Every word we have GBs. Village elders are there in the town. In all the towns, you have your GP union, GP house, GP court, GP whatever, whatever. Yes, so itu lagado, the government is in the process of reviewing this. That is why for the past 2 years, there is no new GP appointment in the town. GP to Murilibi, retire Hulibi, resign Hulibi. Itia government is not yet to take a decision on this. That is why we are no longer appointing GPs in the wards in the town. Okay? Itu bi abani ini itu bi chuliaze. This is what is happening now. So because conditioner comborado posire take lagi na. Okay, so there is a Nagaland Combora welfare scheme. Itu bi abunigan janili balaze. Nagaland Gaumbora Welfare Scheme introduced in the year 2007. GPs who have rendered continuous voluntary service for a minimum of 5 years are entitled as to rupees 5,000 as welfare allowance. So maximum welfare allowance is rupees 15,000 for 10 years of service. Okay, so there is a welfare fund which is looked after by the commissioner office. So when GBs, they don't get this every year. When they retire from their service, they receive this amount basing on their service. Okay, so that's all about GBs. Let's not go and have any revision because we have other topics to cover. Like we have 15 minutes, so I want to cover both Lokayukta in ILP. In 15 minutes, I will cover both Lokayukta in ILP in Nagaland. I want to cover a lot of topics before because we are given 1 month to, yes, for every 50, not 250, for every 50 household, 1 GB. If there are 100 household, 2 GB, right? If there are 500 household, I don't know. Kiman hobo? 10 GB. So for every 50 household, a GB is appointed. It is written in point number 2, 1 GB is appointed for every 50 household. Yes. So Lokayukta, you already know what Lokayukta is. So I will not go into the details of how a Lokayukta functions. I'll just tell you about Nagaland scenario, who is the Lokayukta, who is not, and what happened, right? So Lokayukta, we are studying. I'll take some maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Nagaland State Lokayukta was constituted under Nagaland Lokayukta Act. Okay, so Nagaland Lokayukta Act 2017. From this act, Nagaland Lokayukta was also constituted because it was the directive, right? That every state will have Lokayukta after the Lokpal bill was passed in the assembly. We know about this. Anna Hazare, Arvind Kejriwal laga time day, how they were fighting for this Lokpal bill, right? So Lokayukta. In Nagaland, what happened was the vigilance office. Puila do vigilance commissioner dageshina. Vigilance commissioner. It was a different department. So this vigilance commissioner to he itado Lokayukta hoi jaise. This is, please remember, itado vigilance department do nai. Naam change hoise. Vigilance department has now become Lokayukta. Nagaland Lokayukta. The office is located just below the Nagaland Civil Secretariat in Kohima. So that is one thing. And so all these things are the definitions of Lokayukta, derived from the Sanskrit word Loka meaning people and Ayukta meaning appointee. Right. So all these things, you know that we know the history. I'm not going to detail of all this. Now, yes, Nagaland Lokayukta. I want to discuss only about the Nagaland Lokayukta, not about other Lokayukta. Ito history laga formation India. Ito kando apuni kan nijo porilobi. Now, in Nagaland, you have Lokayukta and Opa Lokayukta. Remember, you have Lokayukta and Opa Lokayukta. You tell me who is the Lokayukta of Nagaland? At least you should know this. Oh, who is the Opa Lokayukta of Nagaland? Yeah, Nino Iralo. Very good. Nino Iralo is the Lokayukta of Nagaland. So she was appointed just a few months back. Prior to this, the Lokayukta was, I think, Banu. Madam Banu was the Lokayukta, right? Yeah, so Lokayukta and Opa Lokayukta of Nagaland. Lokayukta are appointed by the state government to represent the interest of the public. Some of the powers and functions of Nagaland Lokayukta are number 1, to investigate and inquire into complaints involving offences as provided under the following acts. There are 2 acts: Prevention of Corruption Act 1988, Whistleblowers Protection Act 2011. Itu tuita act corruption di taka na corruption inquiry growle la holibe manukan ito whistleblowers means people who leak wrongdoings in the government. Okay, so ito kan investigate growle lokoyok talaga duty. The second duty is the Lokayukta or Opa Lokayukta may investigate into complaints involving grievance or allegations made by any citizen can write to the Lokayukta regarding any corruption happening in the public office, not in private office, referred to by the state government or sue mutu without any complaint. Meaning, number 1, any citizen can write a complaint. Number 2, government can also write to the Lokayukta for any case or without anyone complaining, even the Lokayukta can also initiate investigation so motu. So motu means on the own. The third point is Lokayukta has been given power. The Lokayukta or Opal Lokayukta has been given the powers of a civil court, okay, while trying or investigating cases under the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. So these are the sections mentioned, right? So the Lokayukta or Opal Lokayukta is deemed to be a court within the meaning of the Contempt of Court 1971 and have the same judicial powers in authority of the High Court. So these are the powers that have been given to the Lokayukta whenever they are investigating a case, whenever a complaint has been made against them, whenever they are in the process of hearing for a case, they are given the powers of all the civil court, right? Well, they are trying a suit under this code, section 14(2) of the act, and whenever they are also given the judicial powers in authority of a high court. Okay, so in Nagaland, as it is the case in other districts, other states, the Lokayukta and Upa Lokayukta are appointed by the governor of the state. While appointing, the governor consults the Chief Justice of the High Court and leader of opposition in the State Legislative Assembly. So, who appoints the Lokayukta and Upa Lokayukta? The governor. After consulting the Chief Justice of the High Court and leader of opposition in the State Legislative Assembly. So, who was the first Lokayukta of Nagaland? Justice Omanath Singh. Justice Omanath Singh was the first Lokayukta of Nagaland in 2019. And who was the first Opal Lokayukta? Mayang Lima was the first Opal Lokayukta in 2019. As far as I know, he is still continuing as the Opal Lokayukta. I have not seen that he has been replaced. And yes, so the two present Lokayukta of Nagaland, the present Lokayukta of Nagaland, as rightly pointed out by you, is Ninu Iralo, who was sworn in on June 16. Yes, just 2 months back. And there are two Opal Lokayuktas as of 2025, Mayang Lima and Karin Lati Koza. So this is your Lokayukta. We have two Opal Lokayukta under him. Lokayukta is Nino Iralo and Opal Lokayukta is Mayang Lima and Karin Lati Koza. Yes, we can only imagine. So this is about Lokayukta. Let's discuss ILB. Time ulop ILB, it's okay. We'll discuss ILB. Another thorny issue. So itu lagado already we know from history that ILB do Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873 bra ahase, right? So itya, if it is foreigner also, Indian citizen also, who is not an indigenous inhabitant of Nagaland, they all need an ILP to come inside Nagaland, right? Yes. So itya, what the government has said that ILP to sub online ho jabo. Iniga koise, but again there are some technical difficulties. That is why offline bi TV korna bi itya order bi ahigina ase, right? So we'll discuss who are the categories, what are the categories, and online apply do you have to go to this website. Offline to do you will get it in Nagaland House in the cities and TC office and some certain ADC office TV offline do pai jabo. So itu to could the ILP babo itu wala do ase. Now the main issue is regarding this Dimapur Chumukidima Newland. Because Dimapur was not under the ambit of ILP for several years. NSF, several tribal ho-hos, civil society organization has been demanding to the government ILP introduce karibyo Dimapur din nohili puti jabole aje. Plain mano ahegina for more than now 60 years. They are here in our land and they are controlling everything. Itu para ILB introduce the ILP in Dimapur. That is what the public, the leaders have been shouting, requesting, demanding. And last year on 12th September 2024, Nagaland cabinet finally approves the implementation of ILP in the remaining three districts of Nagaland, Dimapur, Chumukitima, and Newland. But there are three conditions, three categories, because as we all know, Dimapur was the capital of the Kachari Kingdom. It was known as Dimasa. And so Dimapur at that time before the formation of the state, Manukan Pishi, not only Nagas, but plain Manukan Hulibi, Kacharekan Hulibi, Kukikan Hulibi. There were so many tribes, both Nagas and non-Nagas, and plain people in Dimapur at that time. So category one, those settled in Dimapur prior to 1st December 1963. Another category is this: those settled in Timor between 1st December 1963 and 21st November 1979. And the third category is 22nd November 1979 PGT Ahakandu. The government said first category ILB nalage, second category ILB nalage. ILB should only be implemented to those people coming only after 22nd November 1979. Right? So after this, there was a lot of protests again. I to kill it 1971 to July in 1963 there were some issues. That is why last year, even though it was passed by the cabinet in 2024, it took some time to settle all these differences, all these complaints and suggestions. And so it was only a few months back that it was implemented. Now this is the present status. Category 1. Itu Paul sabi. This is the status. We are talking only about Dimapur, but Dimapur includes Newlin and Chumukitima, remember. So category 1, Kwanishna state noha time de before the creation of the state. Category 1, that is prior to 1st December 1963. ILP required or not? ILP is not required for them. Exempt from ILP. They are not required. They are not to have ILP. So but key lagi ko do ekta smart card tiwo. They are to be issued with a smart card, okay, with options to avail PRC and domicile certificate. So ito kan giki dibo. 1st December 1963 no hadam di ahagan ke plain manukan ke na because tribal manu hoili do you are already an indigenous inhabitant karo koki kachare kan do na. So itu plain manukan 1st December 1963 kan di nahakan duki dibo, they'll be given a smart card. Hoilibe, you have to provide documents. Electoral roll di tagibo lage, land pata tagibo lage, house tax tigina tagibo bade, or any other government documents recording citing that any document proving that you were in Dimapur prior to 1st December 1963. If you can provide this document, then you'll be given a smart card. You don't need ILP. That is the first condition. Now, why is the government insisting on this 22nd November or 21st, 22nd November 1979? Because it was only in 21st November 1979 that Dimapur was considered as a tribal belt by the government of Nagaland. That is why the second condition is that, if you are still with me, the second category of people also, they don't need ILB, exempt from ILB, right? But they will be given permanent residence certificate. Permanent residence certificate again, they have to provide documents like 1979 no time de a role de tagibo lage. Itu time de town committee laga election bi tageshi. Itu time laga a role de bi tangala naam tagile na patta 1979 November no hadam de tagile 21st November 1979 no hadam de house tax taken or any other documents that they have proving that they have settled in Timor before 1979. So they are also exempted from ILP. They will be given permanent residence certificate. Now ILP is now implemented. Now say 21, 22 do kila ka difference was na 21st November no hard time day till this. From the second kedu is 22nd November 1979 pura ajitak kon ahigina aze required ILP. Ito aze ILP is mandatory for those people who came from 22nd November 1979 onwards, they require ILB. Okay, so what are the conditions? You have to be thorough with this chart. You can ask any questions from here, right? So who are the people? What are the categories of people requiring ILP? Tourists. Tourists to in para mano obo, plain mano or foreigner. So they can be given ILP for a maximum of 30 days. Fees kando ini ya, if you want to know, you know, but fees kando I don't think they will ask. So for if you are a tourist from Rajasthan who wants to come to Nagaland, you will need Aadhaar, but you will not need any local calendar. Because how will you know local calendar when you don't are not living in this place in the first place? Nah? So local calendar not required. Tourists coming from abroad, you takanto Aadhaar takibuli nohe, they need visa or valid passport or local calendar nalage. You can be given maximum of 30 days. Traders can be given ILP for 1 year or 90 days, okay, depending on their preference. And Aadhaar required, local calendar required. Itu berana mukan naga manugan, mukan naga kaldi hi ajo itu. Itia bora aeroplane manu pisha hebuli tekilido mukan la kaldi because for an ILP, for a local calendar is required. Without a local calendar, they cannot be issued ILP. Local calendar means indigenous inhabitant of the place. So if we are not giving local calendar, then you will not be able to come. That is the case. So for traders, it is 90 days, 1 year. For laborers, no? For laborers, 90 days. Again, local calendar required, Aadhaar required. Or technical personnel consultants, they can be given 2 years. And if they are technical or consultants, they don't need local calendar. Holibe takan do itya takan ikta office tin holibe ikta company di kam kore aso to itu laga certificate kan anibo lage. Okay. So priest means especially Catholic fathers can they also require ILP. Mostly they come from South India. They can be given ILP for 3 years. So they also don't require local calendar. Aadhaar certificate from church or from the parish. So teachers coming from outside of Nagaland, they also require ILP 3 years. Aadhaar card, ID card from the institution school. They also don't require local calendar. Students coming from outside of Nagaland to study in Nagaland, up to depending on the course. Okay, but we assume that you will not be studying more than 5 years. So up to 5 years or course duration, whichever is earlier. So here, no local calendar required. Other ID card, whatever. Partners in business partners can you'll be given for 3 years. Aadhaar required and registered company business of the concern is required. So these are the various categories of ILP that can be issued to these categories, starting from domestic tourists to foreign tourists. And there is also one clause here. Even if they have the local calendar, even if they have the Aadhaar card, ILP applicants coming from the state of Assam, Karimganj, Haikandi, Dima Hasao, and Karbi Anglong. These 4 districts, if they are coming from these 4 districts, it is compulsory for them to bring the NRC because NRC was conducted in Assam. Everyone who is in Assam, they should have the National Register of Citizens certificate. We assume that people who are in Bangladesh, they don't have NRC. The question of whether NRC can be duplicated, we don't know. But they should also bring the National Register of Citizen certificate coming from this. So any clarifications on ILB issues, Commissioner Nagaland will refer to Home Department, whose decision will be final. So ityado online mode to for 2-3 months. Again, government is saying updating the website, whatever reasons to issue an offline mode. So this is about ILP. Okay. So the categories of ILP and the types of people, categories, how long, what documents require. So from tomorrow, Today is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Let's take three class. We'll try to finish geography in 3 class. After that, we have some issues to discuss, some schemes, government schemes, and yes, tribals from other northeast states. Yes, if you go to Arunachal, I also require ILB. Maybe takan gani to outsider hoisi to na. So alak tribals can be ILB lagi. Okay, then.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Goodbye, girls.